What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, it seems like the plans have been revealed for newly crowned, unified lightweight world champion, Australian star boxer, George Kambosos Jr. 20 wins, no losses, no draws, 10 wins by way of knockout. He is 28 years of age, 5'9.5", with a 69-inch arm reach. With that said, he shocked the world, as we all know, November 27th, when he defeated former unified lightweight world champion superstar boxer Teofimo Lopez by majority decision. He dropped Teofimo Lopez in the fight. Teofimo Lopez dropped him in the 10th round. He faced adversity, got up, controlled the rest of the fight, the rounds 11 and 12 after being dropped in the 10th round, and he won in the majority decision victory over Teofimo Lopez to become the newly crowned unified lightweight world champion. With that said, after the fight, he expressed that he knew and understood that he had to face off against undefeated WBC lightweight world champion superstar boxer Devin the Dream Haney in his next fight if he truly wanted to create history and become undisputed at the lightweight division, becoming only the 7th fighter in the history of the sport of boxing to hold all 4 major sanctioned belts, the Ring Magazine and Linealship in the Glamour division and the lightweight division. He would have to do so by beating Devin Haney. So with that said, Devin Haney, he fought the following weekend, December 4th, in Las Vegas, Nevada at the MGM Grand Garden Arena against former IBF super featherweight Mexican superstar world champion boxer Joseph Jojo Diaz. Devin Haney, he beat Joseph Diaz via unanimous decision. So with that said, George Kambosos Jr., he was in attendance. Now, George Kambosos Jr., he feels, and his demands in his next fight is that the fight has to take place in the Down Under in Australia. And so with that said, he stated that his next opponent is going to have to come to Australia to face him because he earned the right to fight back home after he's come all the way across seas and made a name for himself and won these titles. Now he's due to go back home, defend the titles in front of his fans in a massive arena and stadium, and have a homecoming fight, okay, which is understandable. So Devin Haney, he stated that Devin Haney 27 wins, no losses, no draws, 15 wins by way of knockout, 23 years of age, 5'8" with a 72-inch arm reach. Devin Haney, he said he was willing to oblige George Kambosos Jr. and go to Australia and stage the fight. So with that said, George Kambosos Jr., he started to change the temperature. He started to change, it seems, his outlook and what was going to be next, as he stated that he wanted to see what undefeated 3-division world champion superstar boxer Gervonta Tank Davis did, who fought the following that Sunday, okay? So Devin Haney, he fought December 4th, which was the Saturday. Gervonta Tank Davis fought December 5th, which was a Sunday. He fought in Los Angeles, California at the Staples Center against Mexican star boxer Isaac Pitbull Cruz, in which he won a unanimous decision as well, but not without drama in the fight, because he broke his left hand in the 6th round of the fight, and we know Gervonta Tank Davis is a southpaw. Gervonta Tank Davis is undefeated now, 26 wins, no losses, no draws, 24 big wins by way of knockout. He is 27 years of age, 5'5" with a 67-inch arm reach, okay? And so after that fight, George Kambosos Jr., he stated he wanted to take on the, most exciting fighter and a legacy fight, because initially it wasn't about money. It was about legacy and entertaining the fans. Then another fighter was fighting the following Saturday, and George Kambosos Jr., he dragged it to that fight. And he said, well, he wanted to see what 2-time Olympic gold medalist, 3-division world champion, former unified lightweight world champion, the man who beat the man who George Kambosos beat in Vasyl High-Tech Lomachenko, okay? So Vasyl Lomachenko, he took on another guy that Teofimo Lopez beat in Richard Comey, former IBF lightweight world champion. Teofimo Lopez brutally knocked out Richard Comey to earn the IBF title. And then immediately his next fight, he beat Lomachenko in a unification bout. So Teofimo Lopez beat both guys. Richard Comey, Vasyl Lomachenko, they fought December 11th, Madison Square Garden, New York, New York. Vasyl Lomachenko, he dropped Richard Comey in the fight. Ultimately, he won a unanimous decision victory over Richard Comey, in which George Kambosos Jr., he started to say, well, he got to weigh out his options, okay? It seemed like it was a no-brainer to fight Devin Haney, who was willing to oblige you. You're going to get the biggest payday of your career. And he's willing to come over to Australia, and it's an official undisputed showdown. Opposed to Lomachenko, you're not going to get a massive payday because legendary promoter, top-ranked CEO, and promoter Bob Arum and ESPN are not going to pay George Kambosos Jr. an abundant amount of money to fight Vasyl Lomachenko. And Gervonta Tank Davis, Floyd Mayweather Promotions, they don't have much interest in fighting George Kambosos Jr., and they're definitely not going to go to Australia, and they're definitely not going to pay him an abundant amount of money to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. So with that said, it seemed like a no-brainer for George Kambosos Jr. to fight Devin Haney. Well, he started dragging it out, and suddenly, since the WBC, World Boxing Council President Mauricio Suleiman come out and state that George Kambosos Jr. should be acknowledged as the undisputed champion, when we know he's the franchise champion, he's not the official WBC champion. All you have to do is go to the WBC official website, and you can see on the WBC official website that they have Devin the Dream Haney as their champion, and then underneath it, in the small writing, it has franchise champion, and it has George Kambosos Jr. Okay, so all you got to do is go to the website. But they came out and they stated that he should be acknowledged as the undisputed champion, and so suddenly George Kambosos Jr. he started to change his whole mojo about the Devin Haney fight. Initially, it wasn't about money. Then he stated Devin Haney needed to sell his jewelry and his belongings to pay the purse that George Kambosos Jr. is looking for. Then he stated he needed to go through Devin Haney. He knew this to be undisputed. Well, then he changed it all after you had Mauricio Suleiman come out. Then he changed his social media titles to everything undisputed. So his entire mindset has changed, okay? And now we saw George Kambosos Jr. He came out and he stated that, well, Ryan Garcia, undefeated rising Mexican star boxer, who is undefeated and looking for a title, as he says, but never actually fights, and King Ryan Garcia. And then he said that that's an opportunity, possibility as well. Okay. So with that said, now he's changed his gauge and his temperature once again, and he's stating that it comes down to Devin Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko. That's the two guys that's on his list to fight. Now he responds to the zone saying that he's dragging his feet on making a decision on who his next opponent is going to be, and that Ryan Garcia was an option. Chris Mannix stated that. Now he goes to correct Chris Mannix, as Chris Mannix understands that Devin Haney was not offered a contract from George Kambosos Jr. and his promoter Lou DiBella, in which Lou DiBella took to social media and stated that Devin Haney turned down a contract that they offered. Well, that was proven not to be true. And Chris Mannix corrected himself because he also reported on that and stated that was the case. And George Kambosos Jr. responds back to Chris Mannix and said that, he only looking to fight the best, and it's either Devin Haney and Vasyl Lomachenko. Now he's making it abundantly clear that initially it looked like we're going to get George Kambosos Jr. versus Devin Haney in April. Well, now that's been pushed back to May. Well, now once again, George Kambosos Jr. is pushing it back to June. And he reveals that the reason he's stalling is because he's trying to wait for Australia to fully open back up. If you don't know, Australia capacity, they closed the capacity due to the global pandemic, and there's still being issues globally. So Australia started to close down, only having 50% of fans allowed into venues. So George Kambosos Jr. and his team are trying to prolong and wait for Australia to open back up to allow 100% of the fans back in capacity into events and arenas, so that they can capitalize on as much revenue as possible, okay? So George Kambosos Jr., he's revealing the reason he's stalling is because he wants to have his fight, his homecoming fight in Australia, and it doesn't make sense to have a fight against Devin Haney or Vasyl Lomachenko, for that matter, in Australia if you can only have 50% of the fan capacity in an event, okay? So you're just not going to capitalize to the maximum amount of revenue you could bring in and generate, okay? So it just doesn't make sense. If that's the case, you might as well have your fight here in the U.S. So George Kambosos Jr. is steadfast on having his fight, his homecoming fight, back in his hometown in Australia. And so he reveals the reason he hasn't made a decision, and the reason he's dragging his feet is because he's trying to prolong in hopes of Australia reopening. Now he's changed the date, looking like he wants to have the fight with Devin Haney in June. But in the meantime, they're stating that Lomachenko is dragging his feet because he don't want to have a rematch clause, and Devin Haney is pricing himself out. All a tactic to stall so they can wait and make a decision when Australia opens fully back up. So let's see how this unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Find me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
Hi, my name is Heather Vahid Hardy, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.